Welcome to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and today we are making everything crackers.
Cause it's the all-free whole food plant-based cooking show.
Okay, so today's recipe are these delicious, delicious crackers. If you know me, I've always said this on the show. I have a thing about crunchy. I love corn chips, but corn chips are typically fried in oil, of course. And sometimes I just don't like making the little tortilla ones, or they just don't satisfy what I'm looking for. So I made up this recipe for these crackers, and they are so satisfying and delicious. You are gonna love it. So we're just gonna jump right in. First we have 3/4 of a cup of almond meal, or almond flour, and the full recipe will be in a link in the details below. Then I have a 1/2 cup of flax meal, so that's just ground flax seeds. I have a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, and a 1/4 cup of chia seeds. And then, let's see, what is it? 1 teaspoon of onion powder. That's gonna give it some delicious flavor. And then 1 teaspoon of Bragg's liquid amino acids, or you could use a little bit of salt or a low sodium soy sauce or tamari. They all work just about the same. But our family just particularly loves this Bragg's amino acids. And then we have our everything spice here, but that is going to be on in the end. So I'll show you that in a minute. And then, so we have some pepper too, sorry. About a 1/2 teaspoon of cracked pepper. And that's really up to you. You could put a lot of pepper in these if you wanted to get it a little bit more of a bite. Okay, so we're just gonna mix this up just a little bit before we put the water in there, just so we can get it evenly distributed, because it's kind of a dry mix. I mean, it gets sticky, but you want to have this stuff mixed together first. Okay, and then I just have a 1/2 cup of water. We're just gonna get it stirred up, make sure it's really mixed well, and it's just gonna clump into a ball. It's gonna be pretty sticky. Okay, looks like it's mixed pretty well. And what I have here, I have a cookie sheet and I have 2 pieces of parchment paper. So I'm just gonna plop this out onto the first one. And just kind of go somewhere towards the middle, because we're gonna put the other piece of parchment on top, and then we're gonna roll it out. So you're gonna need some type of rolling pin. And if you don't have a rolling pin, you could use like a vinegar bottle or a wine bottle. That works just about the same. I'm gonna kind of pile it to the middle a little better. Put that other piece on top, because we're gonna roll these out pretty darn thin. I'm talking, I don't know, maybe less than 1/4 of an inch thin, because you want that nice thin little crispy kind of cracker. And then you're just gonna roll it out all the way to the edge until it's really, you know, you get a really even thickness to your cracker. And I think, because my rolling pin seems to be hitting the pan, I'm just gonna slide this off, because my pan is a little bit too deep. This, the depth of my cookie sheet's just a little bit too deep for to get a thin cracker. And you don't have to do this perfect. It doesn't have to even be a rectangle. If you want to be, you know, you can do it that way, if you really have the need for it to be that perfect shape. But these are going to bake on one side, and then you're going to flip them over and make a score in them so that they break into the little square pieces. So you're going to be making up that shape rather than it being a perfect rectangle. But you know, you'll have some of those odd little pieces at the edges that won't be perfect squares. But that is okay. Okay, so we're going to flop this back in the pan. Super simple, just like that. We're going to take that top layer off. You want to just be careful when you're peeling that top layer off because it is very thin. You don't want to pull any of that mixture off. You want it to stay on that bottom sheet. Okay, set that aside. And I already have my oven preheated to 350, so we're going to put that in the oven for 15 minutes, or between 300 and 350. It just depends on the heat of your oven. So maybe as a middle ground, we're going to do 325. So we'll put it in at 325 for 15 minutes, and then we'll bring it out, flip it, and score it. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share with you some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is a crowd-funded show, which means our content is made possible by the generous patronage of our paid membership community, who share our common goal to teach the world how to easily and permanently switch to a plant-based diet. My husband and I create these free weekly cooking shows to share all of the delicious recipes that we use every day in our own family kitchen. Our recipes are now used by hundreds of thousands of viewers every month from all over the world. Our paid memberships offer additional perks like access to our ebooks and in-depth courses, including our 28 Days Plant-Based Made Easy course, where we offer a step-by-step guide to making the switch to a fully plant-based diet. With meal plans, shopping guides, daily learning materials, and over 65 of our favorite recipes. If you love our content and find it's helping you to live your best plant-based life, please join us on our mission to share this life-changing message with the world and become a supporting member today by following the link in the description. It is the continued growth of our supporting member community that makes this show possible. Okay, let's get back to the show. Okay, so we peeled off the paper, and now that's when the everything spice comes into play. So we're going to use about 3 tablespoons, but this is just an estimate, right? But I'm just going to start there. We're going to sprinkle it on. Now it looks like that's about what I'm going to have left in this jar, so that's going to be perfect. Look at that, 3 tablespoons exactly. Okay, so this is where you're going to use that piece again. We're just going to put it on top. We're just going to press that because you want that everything spice really to stick down into the cracker, or else when you flip that thing over, all that spice is just going to come right off. So we're trying to kind of glue it in there. Okay. So I've got my oven preheated to 325, and we're going to stick these in for 15 minutes. And then we're going to get them out again, flip it over and score it, and then bake it for another 15 minutes. Okay, so they're out of the oven for that first 15 minutes. Now we get to flip them. This part's a little tricky, but it's all right, we will get it. Just one quick move. And we peel that paper off, and then you just score it in whatever size of crackers you want. Now these are very crispy little crackers, so you know it's better to have them kind of small, and they do crumble a little bit. So if you have a really big cracker, then it's just gonna kind of crumble. I like to make them, you know, like, I don't know, 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, something like that. Kind of like a Triscuit or maybe a wheat thin. Maybe that's what it's like. Okay, I'm gonna finish scoring these into squares and then I'm gonna stick them back in the oven for 15 more minutes. Okay, our crackers are out. They're cooling right now, so I'm gonna grab a couple different dips and a plate and I'll meet you at the table. Okay guys, ready for this? And I forgot to tell you that everything spice mix that I make will be included on the recipe. So you can make that. And I have my 2 dips here. I have some of our nacho cheese and some of our hummus, and I'll give you links in the details below for both of those recipes too. So be sure to check them out because they're amazing. Let's see, I'll try the hummus first. Oh. I love crunch. And all the little seeds give you that extra crunch. Okay, now for the nacho cheese. Personally, I think it's gonna be even better. Oh yeah. Be sure to try this out, guys. You are going to love it. And I'll see you next time.